Here's a confession that's gonna make some of you think I'm a little twisted. As a kid, every time Tom chased Jerry around that house, I was rooting for the cat. I wanted Jerry to lose, just once. Don't look at me like that. You thought it too. Because the thing that always bugged me about cartoons was that nobody ever actually went anywhere. The hero always got up. The good guy always survived. Every single time, last second, boom, miracle, everyone's fine. It felt fake. I wanted the danger to mean something. But here's the flip side. Because for every cartoon where nobody could get hurt, there were these other ones. These rare, brave shows that did the unthinkable. They let a character go, and they didn't bring them back. And those moments? Man. Some of them still sit with me to this day. I can rewatch them now, as a grown adult, and feel that exact same lump in my throat I felt as a kid. Because those weren't just scenes. For a lot of us, those were the first time we ever really understood what loss meant. What it feels like to say goodbye to someone and know they're not coming back. So today, we're going through the most tragic cartoon deaths of all time. The ones that hit hard. The ones that changed us a little. And I'm telling you right now, that one at the end, the one I'm saving for last, it's the one that genuinely wrecked an entire generation, and we'll get into why. So stick around for it. Before we start though, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, because we go deep on this kind of stuff all the time. And drop a comment with the cartoon death that messed you up the most as a kid. I read every single one, and I promise some of these are gonna bring back memories you forgot you had. Alright, let's get into it. Let's start with one that's still debated to this day. Jet, from Avatar, The Last Airbender. Okay, so Jet is fascinating because he's not even a straightforward good guy. When we meet him, he's this charming freedom fighter leading a group of kids against the Fire Nation. And at first he seems cool. But then you realize he's willing to do some pretty extreme stuff to win, even putting innocent people at risk. So he's complicated. He loses his way. But here's the thing. By the end, Jet actually finds his way back. He chooses the right side. He fights to protect the group. And in his final moment, he gets seriously hurt. And here's where the show does something genuinely bold for a kid's cartoon. Jet, badly hurt, tells his friends he's fine. He says he's gonna be okay, that they should go on ahead without him. And his friends quietly realize the truth, that he's not going to make it, and that he knows it too. They don't show you anything graphic. They don't spell it out. They just let that understanding hang in the air. He's not okay. And you, as the viewer, get it immediately. Honestly, that restraint is what makes it hurt so much more. It trusts you to feel it. I think about that scene way more than I should. Next up, and this one is an absolute heartbreaker. Ace, from One Piece. Now, if you know, you know. And if you don't, let me set it up. The main character of One Piece is a kid named Luffy, and Ace is his older brother. Not by blood, but the kind of brother you choose, which honestly hits even harder. The whole storyline builds to Luffy trying to save Ace from being executed. It's this massive, war-sized rescue. And against all odds, Luffy actually does it. He reaches him. They're free. They're running. They made it. And then, in the very last second, Ace turns back to protect Luffy from an attack, and he takes the hit himself. He dies right there, in his little brother's arms, thanking him for everything, telling him he was loved. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this is one of the most famous gut punches in cartoon history for a reason. Because they let you taste victory. They let you believe everyone made it out, and then they took it away. And what really twists the knife is what Ace says at the end. After a whole life of feeling unwanted, of wondering whether he even deserved to be alive, his last words are basically a thank you. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for the life I got to have. That's the part that destroys people. It's not the loss itself. It's that this guy spent his whole existence doubting he mattered, and only at the very end, surrounded by people who'd just gone to war for him, does he finally understand that he did. That's storytelling that understands exactly how to break your heart. Be honest, who else ugly cried at this one? It's okay. This is a safe space. Now let's go old school, because this next one started it all. Optimus Prime, from the 1986 Transformers movie. Here's something a lot of younger folks don't realize. Back in the 80s, killing off a beloved cartoon hero just wasn't really done. Cartoons were considered safe, untouchable. And then Transformers went and killed Optimus Prime, the leader, the hero. The big noble robot every kid looked up to. He falls in battle, passes leadership on, and just like that, he's gone. And the reaction was unreal. Kids were devastated. Parents wrote angry letters to the studio. It became this whole thing, because nobody was ready for it. Nobody thought a cartoon would dare. And honestly, looking back, this was kind of the moment that proved cartoons could actually hurt you, could actually make you grieve. It opened the door. So in a weird way, a lot of the other deaths on this list exist because Optimus went first. Wild to think about, right? Quick pause, because I genuinely want to know. Drop it in the comments. Which of these have you actually seen? And which one are you most not ready for me to talk about? Because we've got some heavy ones coming. I'm curious how many of you grew up with these versus discovering them later. Let me know down below. Okay, back to it. Alright, this next one is a different kind of sad. Ashi from Samurai Jack. So Samurai Jack is this beautiful show about a samurai flung into a dark future, trying to get back home to fix everything. And in the final season, he meets Ashi. She starts as an enemy, but slowly becomes his closest ally, and honestly the heart of the whole ending. They fall for each other. And finally, Jack gets to do the thing he spent the entire series trying to do. He goes back in time and fixes the past. But here's the cruel twist. Ashi only exists because of that dark future. So when Jack changes the past and erases that future from ever happening, Ashi fades away with it. He won, but the cost was the person he loved most. She disappears, and Jack is left standing in the world he finally saved, alone. And that's such a gut-wrenching kind of tragedy, isn't it? It's not a villain killing someone. It's the happy ending itself that takes her. You win and lose in the exact same moment. I still don't know how to feel about that finale, and I've watched it more times than I'll admit. Now here's one that flew under the radar for a lot of people. Queen Comet from Star V's, The Forces of Evil. This is the mother of Queen Moon, who's a major character in the show. And what makes this one land is how it shapes everything that comes after. Queen Comet was loved by her kingdom, kind, beloved, and she's lost while standing up against a serious threat to her people. And that single loss is the thing that hardens Moon, that turns her into the strong, sometimes cold queen we know. Every tough decision Moon makes, every wall she puts up, traces back to that moment of losing her mom. It's a death that doesn't just end a character, it rewrites the entire future of the family. And I love when a show is brave enough to do that. Okay, this next one genuinely shaped a whole series. Professor Charles Xavier from Wolverine and the X-Men. So in this show, Professor X is the mentor, the moral center, the guy holding the whole team together. And the series does something really clever with him. His absence casts a shadow over the entire story, shaping the timeline and the fate of basically everyone. Losing that guiding figure, the one person everybody trusted to know the right thing to do, sends the whole team into chaos. And it asks this really mature question. What happens to a family when the person who held it together is gone? Who steps up? Who falls apart? That's heavy stuff for what people wrote off as just a kid's show. Which, by the way, is something I'll never stop being annoyed by. These shows were never just for kids. And speaking of father figures, this one hurts in a really personal way. Master Splinter from the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Splinter isn't just a teacher to the Turtles. He's their dad. The one who found them, raised them, trained them, loved them when nobody else in the world even knew they existed. So when the show puts him in his final confrontation protecting his sons, it's not just losing a mentor, it's 4 brothers losing their father, and the show really sits in that grief. It lets the Turtles fall apart, lets them struggle, lets them figure out who they are now that the man who shaped them is gone. Imagine that for a second. Imagine the one person who built your whole world just not being there anymore and having to grow up overnight. That's what they had to do. Oof. Moving on before I lose it. Now this next one is the redemption one, and it gets me every time. Terra from the 2003 Teen Titans. Terra's story is honestly one of the best arcs in any cartoon, period. She joins the Titans. She's got these incredible Earth powers, and everyone loves her. But she's carrying this secret. She's working with the villain. She betrays the team, and for a while, she's fully on the dark side. But here's what makes it tragic instead of just villainous. Deep down, Terra hates what she's become. She's a kid who got manipulated, who felt like she never belonged anywhere, and made a terrible choice. And in the end, when everything's falling apart and her friends are in danger, she turns on the villain and sacrifices everything to save them. She gives up her own future to stop the disaster she helped create. It's guilt, regret, and redemption all rolled into one, and it absolutely wrecks you, because you realize she was never really evil. She was just lost. And honestly, that's more human than half the real people I know. And here's the detail that makes it even sadder. The whole reason Terra got pulled to the dark side in the first place was that she felt like she couldn't control her own powers, like she was a danger to everyone around her, like she didn't fit in anywhere. The villain found that insecurity and used it. He told her he was the only one who understood her, the only one who could help. And isn't that just heartbreakingly real? A kid who feels like an outsider, who's scared of herself, getting taken advantage of by the one person who pretended to get her. That's not a cartoon villain origin. That's something that happens to real kids. Tell me that arc didn't live in your head for years. Okay, this next one. I need you to brace yourself, because this is the one nobody saw coming. Seymour from Futurama. So Futurama is a comedy, a funny sci-fi show full of jokes, which is exactly why this one ambushes you so hard. There's an episode about Fry's old dog from before he got frozen, a little dog named Seymour, and we see, through a flashback, what happened to Seymour after Fry disappeared. And without getting into every detail, the gist is this: that dog waited, faithfully, for his owner to come back, for years and years, sitting in the same spot, refusing to give up on the friend he loved. And that final image, that loyal little dog just waiting and waiting, growing old, still waiting, is widely considered one of the saddest endings in all of animation, from a comedy show. That's what makes it so devastating. It comes out of nowhere and just levels you. I've seen grown adults who can quote every joke in that show go completely silent at this one. If you know, you really know. And if you don't, maybe have some tissues ready. And before we get to the big one, here's a beautifully bittersweet send-off. Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop is this incredibly cool, jazzy, melancholy show about a bounty hunter named Spike who's running from his past. And the whole series builds to him finally confronting that past, one last time. The ending is famously open to interpretation, deliberately poetic, and people have argued about what it really means for decades. But the emotional truth of it is that Spike walks into his final confrontation, having made peace with who he is. It's not a death played for shock. It's quiet, earned, almost peaceful. A man finally free. And that's why people still talk about it. It treated its ending like art. Most shows don't have the guts to do that. Alright, this is the part I really wanted you to stick around for. Because this last one? This is the one that broke an entire generation of cartoon fans. Pops from Regular Show. Okay, so if you didn't grow up with Regular Show, let me explain why this hits so hard. Regular Show was this hilarious, weird, slacker comedy about two friends, Mordecai and Rigby, working at a park and getting into insane supernatural adventures. It was goofy. It was fun. It was the last show you'd expect to absolutely shatter you. And right in the middle of all that comedy was Pops, this gentle, lollipop-headed, impossibly kind soul who only ever wanted everyone to get along. Pops was pure, genuinely, the kindest character in the whole show, the one who saw the good in everything. And here's what almost nobody expects. In the series finale, the entire fate of the universe comes down to Pops. It turns out his whole existence was tied to this cosmic battle between good and bad, and the only way to save literally everything, to save his friends, to save the universe, was for Pops to give himself up to end it. And he does. This sweet, gentle character, who never wanted to hurt anyone, who just wanted peace, makes the ultimate choice. He sacrifices himself so that everyone he loves gets to keep living. And the reason this one wrecks people so badly is the contrast. You spent years laughing with this show. Years. It was your comfort show, the dumb fun one you put on to feel good. And then it looks you dead in the eye and gives you this genuinely profound, heartbreaking goodbye to the kindest character it ever made. Nobody was ready. Grown adults who watched this show their whole childhood were sitting there in tears over a guy with a lollipop for a head. And that's the magic of it. That's what these shows could do when they were brave enough. They could make you laugh for years and then break your heart in a single moment and somehow make that heartbreak feel earned. Beautiful. Now imagine being a longtime fan. You grew up with Mordecai and Rigby. This silly little park show was part of your life for years. And the way it chooses to end isn't with a joke. It's with the purest character making the biggest sacrifice. That's not just a cartoon death. That's a goodbye to a piece of your childhood. And I think that's why it's stuck with so many people. So let's bring this home. When you line all of these up, Jet's quiet lie, Ace's final moment with his brother, Optimus opening the door, Ashi lost to a happy ending, the mothers and mentors and fathers, Terra's redemption, a loyal dog who waited, Spike's peaceful goodbye, and Pop's ultimate sacrifice, you start to see something. These weren't shows being cruel. They were shows being honest. They trusted us, even as kids, to handle the truth. That loss is real. That goodbye is part of life. And that sometimes, the most meaningful thing a story can do is let someone go. And maybe that's why we still remember them so clearly, all these years later. Because they were the first time a lot of us ever felt that particular ache. The first time a cartoon made us grow up just a tiny bit. And honestly, I'm grateful for that. Weird as it sounds, those sad endings taught us how to feel. So now I really want to hear from you. Which one of these hit you the hardest? And which one did I miss? Because I know there are more out there, the ones that live rent-free in your heart. Tell me in the comments. I'll be reading through every single one, and I have a feeling we're all gonna bond over this a little. If this brought back some memories, hit that subscribe button and stick around, because I've got plenty more trips down cartoon memory lane coming. And drop the topic you want me to cover next. Until next time, take care of yourselves out there. And remember, the stories that hurt us the most are usually the ones that loved us enough to tell us the truth. We just have to actually look.